We all know at this point in our lives that there are phrases we can hear over and over again and we become numb to them. It's normal with regards to being a human being, and people have become numb to Donald Trump. We've become numb to the news because he's such a constant pile of mess. It's what fake news has become and witch hunt has become. He has become successful because he has been able to numb down things that are not funny and should not be taken lightly. And one of those phrases in this breaking story is the dismantling of democracy and also the attack on the judicial branch. And we can't become numb to that, because what you don't know, what's in this breaking story, is what they have tried to cleverly hide, which is literally the gateway to not dismantling democracy, but the end of it in my lifetime, your lifetime, and Trump's second term. Let's take a quick look. I'm going to show you the story in a few seconds. Take a quick look at Jamie Raskin talking about this very thing. Take a listen.
Hey everybody, it's Congressman Jamie Raskin. You know, I'm the top Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee, and we are defending the independence of the American judiciary against Donald Trump. It's about everything from his attempt to destroy birthright citizenship. That got struck down by, even a Trump judge struck it down. The Reagan judge said that that was the easiest case he ever had to decide. Now that Donald Trump is losing all of these cases in court, they're attacking the judges. I mean, some people are out there actually making violent threats against the judges and their families. But we've got colleagues in the House who are saying, impeach the judges. You disagree with the opinion of a judge, and your response is to try to impeach the judge. But of course, they know they're going to keep losing because their positions are so ridiculous on all of these things. They don't have the power to rewrite the laws that Congress has written. They don't have the power to destroy federal agencies that we created. That doesn't make sense. They don't have the power to rip up the Constitution. It's not because somebody has a different view of the law that you have, much less that you have the right view of the law that everybody agrees with, and Donald Trump is way out on a limb claiming he's got a right to do whatever he wants under the Constitution. Nonsense. And J.D. Vance is wrong. It's not up to the president to decide whether he's acting lawfully or not. It's up to the courts to decide. As the Supreme Court said, Chief Justice John Marshall in 1803, it's emphatically the province and the duty of the judicial department to say what the law is. It's not up to Congress to say whether we violated the law. It's not up to the president to say whether one of his actions is lawful or not. It's up to the Supreme Court if it gets challenged.
He can say it's not for, quote unquote, them to decide or this to decide. Well, if you allow a law to pass that allows them to decide, well, then that's the law of the land. And in this breaking story, buried in that 1,000-plus page big, beautiful bill the House just passed by one vote, take a listen to what they're trying to sneak in. And it's already passed the House. It's on the way to the Senate. My goodness, sit down and take a listen to this.
Hidden threat to democracy slipped into Trump's big, beautiful bill. The bill passed in the House included a provision restricting the court's ability to enforce orders. When President Donald Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill passed through the House this week, Republican lawmakers slipped in a provision to limit the power of the courts. The move was revealed as the Trump administration has clashed repeatedly with the legal system since the president took office on January 20th. Trump and his top officials have attacked court rulings and those who issue them as activist judges. Buried deep in the text of the more than 1,000-page bill is a measure that would restrict the federal court's authority to hold government officials in contempt if they violate court orders. No court of the United States may use appropriated funds to enforce a contempt citation for failure to comply with an injunction or temporary restraining order if no security was given when the injunction or order was issued. Read Section 70,302 of the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill Act. This is part of a continuing effort to neuter the courts, said Cornell professor Joseph Margulies. It is a move to consolidate monarchical power so that there is no longer any effective restraint posed by the judiciary. When someone violates a court order, the judge who issued the order has the ability to hold them in contempt and issue fines or even jail time as punishment. The provision deep in the massive domestic agenda bill would require anyone suing the government to pay a bond before the court could use its contempt power to enforce an order. This would severely restrict federal courts' authority to hold officials in contempt if they violate judicial orders, according to the Campaign Legal Center. That's a huge congressional overreach into the judicial branch, spurred on by the executive branch pushing Congress to do this, said its senior legal counsel, Eric Kashdan. Since January, Trump has taken sweeping actions to remake the federal government and carry out his agenda in the U.S. and abroad, including firing federal employees and top officials, freezing funds, and announcing controversial policy changes. But the president's efforts have been halted and reversed on numerous occasions by the courts. They have ruled more than 170 times against the Trump administration, finding in many cases the administration's actions were unconstitutional, according to tracking by the New York Times. In response, the president, vice president, other senior Trump administration officials, and close MAGA allies have attacked judges online, including by name, and sought to undermine the judiciary system as a co-equal branch of government. Just this week, a federal judge found the administration violated a court order barring officials from deporting people to countries that were not their own without giving them sufficient time to contest it. It is not yet clear what the punishment would be. Not only would the bill's provision restrict the court's authority, but it would make court orders issued before the law takes effect unenforceable. That's a huge retroactive attack on the rule of law in an attempt to undermine all the decisions that have already been held against the Trump administration, added Kashdan. Trump previously directed federal agencies to request a bond in every case where the plaintiff is seeking an injunction against the government with the signing of an executive order on March 11th, but the courts have discretion when it comes to the rule, so the order had no teeth. Even as it was slipped into the massive tax bill, the provision is unconstitutional, Margulies argued. Congress can't infringe on the power of the judiciary to enforce its rules, he said. I would say this is a separation of powers violation. That is not the only hidden gem raising concerns for democracy. The bill also includes banning state and local laws from being enforced when it comes to regulating artificial intelligence for 10 years. It is a broad provision that would ban regulating AI in elections and political campaigns. It will be at least a decade of unchecked AI's usage, creating fake content that is deceptively realistic. It's going to interfere with voters' right to know who was trying to influence their vote and what exactly decisions they're making in an informed way at the ballot box, Kashdan said. The bill passed out of the House by just one vote, 215 to 214. Early on Thursday, after lawmakers stayed up throughout the night to finalize the bill and iron out details to appease Republican holdouts. It is not yet clear whether the AI ban or court bond requirements will comply with Senate restrictions on what can be included in their bill, but senators will be facing pressure to remove the provisions. They're both an attack on the rule of law, an attack on the judicial branch, and they'll harm voters, Kashdan warned.
Did you catch the statement that was made in that story? It would make challenging a president's decision through the courts as unenforceable. That, folks, is literally being a dictator. That's totalitarianism, and that is how you truly dismantle democracy in this country. You can even have the legislative branch, but if the judicial branch is not followed, not cared about, and is no longer effective in the checks and balances of what we have as a country, then, folks, democracy is over. Please smile. Please enjoy your life. This is a hard thing to understand, but it's also the reason why you got to live your life, talk to those you agree with and those you don't, but you have to stay frosty. Have a good holiday weekend.